All right, good evening, everybody. We are here for another edition of the CtD Challenge Match. Tonight we have Staffer John Pesch versus Kara Mangiola from New York.
I was going to say her name.
But I have a full booth of guests with me, so I'm going to hand the mic off and they can introduce themselves.
Hello, this is Elise Bolton.
And Birgit Noreichs.
Thank you for having us. We've been here for the last couple of days, so we've been lucky to be here to get I bowled a match earlier. Birgit didn't get to bowl because we didn't have another match, but her hand's bothering her anyway, so I did get to bowl earlier. So we are thankful that Ron let us in on this little fun thing that they're doing here. But Birgit got to practice earlier, and how was your experience?
It was fun. We got to see all the cool stuff they have, different lanes, surfaces, so that's kind of nice to compare them. Yeah, it was a fun time so far.
Yeah, actually being here, it was my first time getting to bowl in the clutch system. I've gotten to bowl in Specto, so it's really cool what they got here with the clutch and a lot of opportunities coming down here.
You guys good? Yep, we're live, so
we're starting off on the house shot.
all right, you're good to go.
I guess Kara's going to start us off here on lane 1. Kara and I are not officially on Team CtD, but we definitely support. Ron's awesome. Everyone's awesome here. And the support is great from Ron and the company. So me and Kara were really excited to get to come down here. And Birgit kind of tagged along last minute. But, yeah, we definitely support CtD and everything they're about. I use all the products, so might as well be. He said hi to you.
Who said hi? Troy? What up, Troy? Thanks for tuning in. Ryan Connor. You want to guess where Ryan Connor's from? Walla Walla, Washington. Yeah, I'm never forgetting that. But John is going to be getting 8 pins in this match. 8 pins a game of handicap. 90% of 220. Elise, you had a scratch match earlier.
Oh, I was like, I didn't know we didn't eat cap.
Yeah, you had a scratch match earlier.
Okay.
Do you go into some different mindset if you're bowling scratch or handicap, like heads up match?
I'm not gonna lie, like bowling a handicap match is definitely more pressure, for sure. Because 8 pins, that's like basically a frame. So when you get down to you got to be ahead by at least 2 frames before you get to about the 7th frame. So it's definitely a lot. I think it's more pressure when you have handicap. Even though you obviously know the person, should average what they, it is on paper, they could easily, be that 10 pins over their average, and then you have to make that up. And obviously with bowling, there's a little luck. So if they get a couple luckier shots, then that handicap is an even worse advantage, I guess, for sure.
We do get 8 pins of handicap when we bowl European tournaments, so the women would get 8 pins all the time over the men, not even depending on their status of if they are pro or not. So all women get 8 pins of handicap on the European bowling tour.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, I always said it'd be cool if on the PBA that if the women bowl, we got the kind of like the European rule.
Mm-hmm.
I think more women would bowl the men's stops and stuff. I know the men probably wouldn't like it because some of the women could beat the men straight up. So I definitely do think there's more pressure though when you have that handicap.
Ron Hicklin Sr.'s in the chat. It's like he's.
Where are you tuning in from?
Yeah, where are you tuning in from, Senior? I don't see you.
So they are bowling on they're bowling on the leftover from earlier that I bowled on. I'm not gonna lie, like this is my first time here. Like I said, even when I was on staff with EBI and stuff, I never made it over here, so I never had the chance to ball on these conditions at all. But the house shot's not easy here. It's definitely not easy to strike on either surface. And then now they're bowling on my leftovers essentially, so they're not gonna be the easiest by far. I 10-pinned a lot earlier. It wasn't fun.
That happens a lot.
Yeah.
So I'll pose this question to you, Lise, as well as you, Birgit, correct? Damn, I'm good. So in terms of the lane surface, did you play the lanes different compared to like 1 and 2 and then 3 and 4 as well with red square? Did you find them playing differently, close to the same? So how did you attack the difference between the 2 lane surfaces?
Do you want to start? I know you just
I didn't even
practiced.
bowl much.
But did you when you were practicing?
I really don't.
Okay. Yeah.
On
So.
one lane, to be honest. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
I don't want to lie on TV. No.
For me, so I was playing them a little different to start, but then I was 10-penning regardless. So I did just kind of to get myself to see the lane better. I was standing in the same spot, but I was trying to create a little bit more angle on the right lane for some reason, which is weird because like when I got to the house or the red square, the left lane surface was hooking more, but all I was trying to do on the right lane was just trying to create a little bit more angle and get my ball quicker to the gutter. And I mean, either way, I still 10-pin, but I definitely was trying to create more shape on lane 2 versus lane 1. I kept it more in front of me on lane 1. Which they're kind of seeing the same thing. Like Kara got it out a little bit and her ball overhooked, whereas it doesn't do it as much on lane 1. So it definitely creates a different challenge. And I did notice, I don't know if anyone else has ever noticed this. Oh, you haven't done the orange pins, but having that orange pin in there, depending on where it was in the rack, really made a difference. I felt like, because I threw some really good shots, and then when like the orange pin was like the 2 or the 3 pin, it definitely didn't go towards the 7 and 10 the way I thought it would. So
some twister pins.
yeah.
We got John up on the left lane. A little 8 count. So if you could hit this little box for me, give them a score. No, right there. Yep. Give them a little score update. So Kara has 37 in the second with a spare in the third. John has 28 with a strike in the third and possible spare. Then you can click that one.
Right here?
Yep. Hard and straight at the spare. Yes, we do have the orange pins still in the rack. And look at that. We have our first sighting of the orange pin of the night. Yeah.
I don't think we talked about what it was yet.
Yeah, so if the orange pin comes up and the player gets a strike, it's 30% off on the website, ctdbowling.com, for 5 minutes.
All right.
No. Yeah, you have it in your cart. No, get it in your cart and then
Yeah, everyone get their carts ready.
Yeah, get your cart ready.
Make sure you get those carts ready.
go buy stuff, but just don't check out. That's how you do it.
So, Ron wants me to work around the system. It's hit system. I like that. It's all for the member.
There you go.
Oh, come on.
Come on, kid!
Oh.
Ah,
Dang, that's a good shot. Just like that.
it's a great shot. But still, I'm sure the red pin will show up in the next couple games. So make sure you have your cart ready.
Yeah.
The website will save your cart. So if you happen to exit the tab or whatever, it will still be there when you come back.
You're welcome, Staffer.
So add your cart or add the items to your cart, whatever you want. Get some cleaning products and True Cut sanding pads. Always have to keep that surface fresh. So get those items in your cart and you can check out. So Elise, you had the orange pin come up 3 times in your match. Did it make you a little bit more nervous that you had people relying on you to strike?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely was. I took a little bit more time on those shots for sure. I'm a pretty fast bowler when I get up there. I just kind of pick up my ball and go. But on those ones, I definitely took an extra breath. Especially when I was on red square, I was like, okay, I have to definitely throw it a lot better over here. So I was happy. You know, I just was here for the people. But
Fair.
like I said too, I really think having that like pin in there made a difference in carry. So all right, so we're going into the 6th frame here. I mean, right now it's almost a tied game because of the handicap.
Yep.
So it's like basically a 2-pin game with the handicap added in. So do you guys have like a max handicap that you guys do in these matches?
So no. We've had people obviously have both scratch, and then we've also had people that are getting 40 pins a game. We don't want to exclude anyone from the matches because these matches are staff exclusive. So anyone on staff can get into a drawing, or John for this match actually put up the money to bowl Kara. So anyone on our staff can bowl a match regardless of average. We always want to include everyone in the opportunity. We like to give our staff some awesome opportunities like these to come to the EC and bowl. Professionals like you. This past weekend we had EJ and Anthony Simonson here. So those opportunities are for the staff of CtD only. So I kind of want to go back to the orange pin thing and being a little nervous. Do either one of you have anything that you do before a shot in a pressure situation, whether it be taking a little bit more time, or I know Ron likes to hum things. Do you do anything specifically in pressure situations?
I'll let Bear get start.
I actually do. I have this. What usually, I mean, you breathe for like 4 seconds, and then you hold it in for 4 seconds, and then you breathe out for 4 seconds. So I kind of read that in a book from a Navy SEAL. I know they do it, so that works for me. So that's what I do if it's like a pressure situation.
Yeah, I really think it's the same. To me, like pressure is really relative to like your situation, obviously. So like if I feel like I'm going to be in a pressure situation, for me would be like watching my opponent bowl. So like I try to, I guess, before I even have to go up and bowl, so I can just do my same process. I just won't watch my opponent bowl, which for me is a way of me like not being in a pressure situation. I'll just make sure I don't watch them. So like whatever they do doesn't affect me. So I know that sounds kind of silly, but I just feel like when I am bowling someone, if I'm not watching what they're doing and I'm just focusing on solely what I'm doing, then there's really not as much pressure as if you're like, watch them go Brooklyn against you. Because then in your head, you're like, okay, now I really have to throw it better. But if you don't know what they did, then it's not as much pressure.
Right.
Or if you don't, I don't watch the score, because if you don't watch the score, then the pressure is really relative, because then you don't really know. You're just, obviously as a bowler, I'm trying to go up and strike every time.
Right.
So now when we're bowling on red square, I was like, if I just spare every time. So the pressure is relative to what you're doing, but obviously breathing. But I just think that if you just focus on what you're doing, there's not as much pressure. So which is, I guess, a coping mechanism for not having pressure.
Yes. I mean, I think not watching the opponent is a strategy that a lot of people do use, just so you don't watch if they get a good break, which in your book is a bad break if you're bowling them.
Because then you just put more pressure on yourself.
Right. So, I mean, there's a lot of little things that people do to get past pressure situations, and a lot of it is going through experience. Like, you don't go into a pressure situation comfortable the very first time.
Well, I was going to say another thing is I try to make sure I drink more water, because it kind of distracts me from like what I'm doing. And then when you're drinking water, I feel like you're more like clear minded. So like I do drink more water, like when I'm in a more pressure situation than I would probably just like where I'm like more free bowling.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that helps. For drinking water and staying hydrated.
Yeah, keeping your mind off the whole match in general, and just executing shots when you have to be up there.
Yeah. I think the best thing you can do to get better in a pressure situation is just make sure that your pre-shot routine is really good. So that way you're not even, everything's kind of the same. Because I think pressure is, like I said, always relative. Like if you're someone who doesn't really have a pre-shot routine and it's always different when you bowl, then you're kind of, it's more pressure than versus just being able to go up there and do the same thing every time.
Mm-hmm. A little wrap 10 there.
Such a good shot.
So the last 3 shots, Kara has left a 10 pin, and John just left a 10 pin. Is there anything specifically that you did, especially here, to get past that? Did you make a little move with the feet? Did you try to trick a little bit more at the bottom? What did you do to get past that?
If I'm going to be honest, I 10 pin with every ball at first. I did finally figure it out at the end of the second game on House Shot, and I actually went to a pin down ball, because normally in House Shots I stick to like pin up, and like I said earlier, I tried creating more ankle, and then I tried keeping it in front of me. I tried slowing down and trying to slow wheel it. I still 10 pin, and then I finally threw like my pin down ball that I didn't think would be better, because normally pin down's smoother for me, which would create more of like a 10 pin shape for me, but it actually worked and I struck. So, but yeah, the 10 pins definitely don't fall here. You have to throw it really, really good. And then as soon as you throw it even better, you 9 pin. So, but yeah, I have noticed here that normally on a house shot, you can throw it like kind of like 2 to 3 boards on each side of the rangefinder. Here, you kind of have to get it pretty close to that rangefinder. You have to stay within that 10, 9, 8. If you get it past it, you're going to 10 pin. And if you get it inside of it, you're going to 10 pin, which typically on a house shot, you're still going to strike.
Yeah.
So I did notice that.
Yeah, the house shot that we use definitely is not easy. It definitely requires you to make shots. Good spare. Good washout. So yeah, you have to come with your say your B game on this, and then your A game over there. Just because like this isn't a dead wall.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
I mean, I'd prefer bowling on a house shot like this, because you have to throw it better. So practice purposes, this is way better than, bowling on a house shot where you can strike at will.
Right.
So I'd prefer to bowl on a house shot like this, honestly.
So Kara is throwing that 900 Global Zen. What's the handicap? 90% of 220. So you have 8 pins.
Okay, so right now, Kara's got 155 in the 8th if she strikes here, and he's got 126 with a strike in the 8th, so about 30 pins right there.
Yep, that's if she catches the strike here. Looks like she made a little bit of a move.
We haven't seen that orange pin in the head pin spot again.
Yeah, we've only seen it once, and Kara made a good shot, and it was just a 10 pin.
Hope all you guys have your carts ready, though. We're gonna get another chance here. It's getting closer. It's in the 5 pin.
There's fans there?
She does.
So Kara can max for 215. If John makes this spare, he can max for 175, but with his handicap, you will have 183. So depending on what John does here in the 10th, this might lock up this first game. FS1. If you're just joining in, we will have an opportunity throughout the broadcast for people watching to get 30% off on ctdbowling.com. So the way that happens is you can see it on lane 3. There's orange pins in the rack, one on each rack or one on each lane. And if that comes up in the head pin spot in the player's strikes, it's 30% off for 5 minutes and 5 minutes only. So John is a member of CtD staff, and he actually, so John's situation is actually pretty interesting. So he won the opportunity to bowl myself or Ron in a challenge match, which will happen tomorrow morning.
No,
No.
no, I'm good.
So that match will happen tomorrow morning. Ron will first verse John for a match for $500. And John actually won that opportunity to do that match. So he figured, hey, I'm going to put up this $500 to bowl a bowler on the PWBA tour in Cara. So John is bowling 2 cash matches this week, or this week, not the weekend anymore. So John's going to finish this game with 153. He gets 8 pins of handicap, so 161. Kara just has to stay behind the foul line, keep it on the lane, and she'll have this match locked up. Another good shot, get the 10 pin out. She lined up. She said, I went 3 10 pins in a row. Now I'm going to go 3 strikes in a row. Another good shot there.
Great shot.
I'm telling you, posting shots is key to having consistent shots as well as consistent ball reaction. All right. So 215 to 163 with handicap for game 1. Or 161 with handicap. So we're going to go ahead and get game. I'm being summoned. What's up? You called. No worries. All right. We're going to get game number 2 started. And John will start us off for game 2. Appreciate everybody tuning in on, what's today? Tuesday? A Tuesday night. John is throwing a nuclear cell now. Messenger! Get out of there.
I've never had this to be. There's just one time the pin went that way or that way, and it hit the 10 pin.
Oh, another little wrap 10. So last game, Kara went 3 10-pins in a row and then took it off the sheet. Mentally finishing a game off like that, how does that help you, especially at the beginning of a block?
Are you talking about like on a block or when you're bowling on the same pair? Because I mean,
either.
yeah, I mean, I know like on tour, finishing on a like that is good, but you're like hoping it's the same on the next pair. But I mean, it definitely does feel good, to finish off a game like that. Because obviously, when the 10 pin's hard to carry, you threw it really good those last couple, which Kara did. So I mean, it definitely helps going into the next game. Especially when you have a 6-game block, or if you were lost, trying to find something.
I didn't hear the question.
He said, so like when you she 10-pinned and then all of a sudden finish out the game striking, like how does that help you when you're in a block, like when you have that strong finish going into like the next game?
Oh, it definitely gives you confidence. I mean, you never know what to expect on the next pair though, but still, usually you try on a fill ball, you would try a different ball.
Right.
To get a different read in case the lane you go to is a little different, that you already have like a practice shot to see what the ball does compared to the ball you used. So that's always a chance to, if it doesn't roll the same way, that you already have an option to go to. So
Yeah.
but it definitely gives you confidence if you finish strong, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, I always even if I finish like that, especially going to another pair, I'll try something different. I mean, unless I know I need some pins to make a cut.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice when you can get that double to, like she said, try something completely different, maybe move right or left, try a different ball that might not strike. And then that's when the extra confidence comes, when you do strike with whatever you try. That's really the confidence builder, is when you can get that double and then try something so that you have a second option, especially on our tour where you go to the next pair and it's like you're bowling on a completely different pattern. Like that's truly how our tour is, unfortunately. Okay, so we're in the third frame. John's got the first 3, and again, John has 8 pins, so Kara's a little bit behind right now.
A little under pressure here.
So she needs to win a little high there. I think that was really easy to do here. When you left those 10 pins, you're trying to really hit it or, keep it closer to the pocket to get the 10 pin out. And it was easy to 4-pin because of it. I know me, I 9-pinned a couple times because I was trying to hit it a little bit harder. And instead of 10-pinning, I 9-pinned. I did leave a 7-9 here earlier practicing, so that was interesting. So I don't know. I'd rather shoot a 4-pin than a 10-pin anyways. I'm going to leave a 9 count. What would you rather shoot?
A 9-pin or a 4-pin?
No, a 4-pin or a 10-pin.
I'd rather shoot a 10-pin, to be honest. Yes, the left side for me is kind of always a little shaky. But yeah, I'd rather shoot a 10-pin.
Yeah. I guess it also depends what pattern. Like if I'm on 35 feet, I'd rather be shooting a 4.
That's definitely true. Yes, yes, yes.
All right, there we go. She brought it back. Again, bowling on these 2 different surfaces makes it a little trickier, trying to remember what you did on each lane to get your ball to go through the pins. I definitely earlier tried to double ball it to make it easier on myself, which is always good to do if you're, if you see something different on every lane, even if it's not different surfaces. Sometimes that's what it takes to strike, is just using 2 different balls in the same area because of the lane topographies. All right, so John's bringing the heat this game.
4-bagger.
Got the 4-bagger. So again, this is where the handicap makes a little difference, because if you're mentally in your brain, he's almost ahead, a frame ahead of you. So I mean, if I'm bowling right now, and like I said, I don't look at the scores, but technically to me, he'd have like front 5 if I'm looking at handicap. So Kara now has to definitely put her foot on the gas pedal to get some strikes up here to make up that extra pins.
Yeah, he definitely bounced back from that first game where he struggled a little bit.
Yeah, I know the guy bowled in my match. Oh, he looks like he ball changed on that left. Yeah.
He was in a bonus. I don't know what he's throwing
That
right
looked
now.
Like it looked like the nuclear cell. So the nuclear cell, I don't know the bonus as well, but I know the nuclear cell is going to be a little bit, it's like a strong, weak ball, kind of, I guess. So it's going to get down the lane and just really hook off the friction. I know the bonus is like...
The bonus is it's a symmetrical that's kind of smooth compared to the nuclear, I would say. I mean, it's definitely shaping different.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, and like I said earlier, I double balled it. So he's probably seen the same thing I did, where he's kind of got a good look on one lane, but the other lane's a little bit, not as secure going through the pocket and the pins as far as like feeling like you're striking. So I tried to do the same thing. I was trying to use a more aggressive ball off the friction on the left lane and trying to have a smoother shape on the right. So it's kind of like the same thing I saw. And again, they're bowling on the burn that I bowled on earlier. So it's similar, just probably more friction because it's been sitting here for a while now too. So it'll be interesting to see how red square plays after sitting for a while. Oh, yeah. So now she's probably getting into the track of the guy I bowled was a little bit deeper. So she's probably getting into that area where he was playing and where I was playing. So now she might either have to bump up her ball speed to get it to go through it or move a little bit further left because that surface did hook a little bit earlier, closer to you. Or again, Kara could probably use a different ball. All right, so John's going up for front 6. And they did not re-oil for the match tonight. Sorry, that was for you, but I answered.
That's fine. We're going to give the same answer. So
yeah, these have been sitting here. We bowled our match at 3. Yeah, 3. So they've been sitting here all day. Ooh. Yeah, he hit that friction spot down lane on that surface. When I hit that, it just took off compared to the other lane that would be a little bit smoother and more controlled through it. But this is the break that Kara needed. This is when that handicap is like kind of when you really need a split or an open when to bounce back from that. So this would be that momentum change for Kara to step up and throw some strikes. Oh. Robert is so loyal. So again, we're still waiting on that orange pin and the head pin spot. Haven't seen it since the 3rd frame of the first game?
Yeah. But it happened on 3 and 4 in your match within twice in 15 minutes.
Yeah, and then the first frame of our second game, like we stopped our practice. Right. Yeah, because we had 2 of them, and we're like, we can't let the people down. We got to no practice. Yeah. Maybe we used them all up earlier. For those of you just tuning in, if the orange pin is in the head pin spot, they are going to do 30% off at ctdbowling.com. Is that what it is? So make sure your carts are ready. So if we see that orange pin and they strike, you guys can get on there. You use the code CtD30.
That's good for 5 minutes.
Yep, 5 minutes once the strike's thrown. But right now, I think Ron's back there making sure the pins don't go in the orange. You know, the fur.
Uh-oh. Look at lane 2.
Oh, we spoke it.
are,
We
and
spoke it into
John
existence.
is...
We just count it out.
All right, no pressure.
I don't do that. That's why that was supposed to be fine. But you guys.
All right, you guys. This is what we said. Get those carts ready. Pressure's on John.
Looks like Kara switched to a nuclear cell as well.
Yeah, Kara's
Yeah.
we're going into the ninth frame. John's stepping up in the 8th, but Kara's going in 9th, so she's really going to need some help from John if she wants a chance to claim this game.
Yeah, but we want him to strike right now.
Yeah,
so
of course. All right,
no pressure, but
no pressure to John right here. Remember, if John strikes here, you're going to go to ctdbowling.com, and for 5 minutes after his strike, use CtD30 to get 30% off your order. Oh, did he do it? Oh no. Oh no. Oh man, John just became the most hated man in this chat.
sorry.
Just like I said, oh, come on. Oh, that would have been the biggest thing in history. That would have been crazy. Like I said earlier, yeah, if you were trying to, you're getting close to leaving 10 pins, you make an adjustment, 9 pin was like the next shot every time.
I mean, it was a great shot.
Yeah, it was a great shot. Great shot. That would have been awesome if that pin knocked that over. That was. Oh, Larry, that was a good shot. It's really easy to 9 pin.
I mean, you made the move off the last one, so.
Yeah.
I just was tentative with that last shot. Yeah. I have to stay a little more firm on June because it wants to go a little earlier, but.
All right, guys, we still got plenty of chances. That orange pin will come back, so make sure you still have those carts ready. For those of you guys who were watching earlier, I was able to hit it 3 times when I was during my match, so we'll, the chance will come back. All right, we'll give you guys a look at the score here with John going into the 9th frame now, and he'll be finishing out the game after Kara finishes hers.
That's what I was trying to keep distracted.
From what?
Same ball.
See, I'm so fast.
So just like that, 9 pin back to the 10 pin. All right, with this spare that John just made, he has 234 left, and he does still have 8 pins on Kara, so Kara still has 215 left, so she would definitely need some help from John in order to take this match. But if John does win, it is 1-1 going into red square. I believe we're still doing the 2 balls on each lane when they get over there.
Yeah.
So yeah, they'll go as soon as this match is over. They will go on to red square on 3 and 4, and they'll get 2 balls each, and then they'll start that match. And that is also not re-oiled, so that is still sitting there from earlier.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, not again. All right. Again, everyone get those cards ready. Ooh,
Another good shot.
really good shot. All right, make sure you tell your friends who need to get their CtD products that as soon as John strikes on lane 2, 30% off. All right. For those of you who don't know Kara, this is her first year on tour this year. She's made 5 out of how many tournaments? 5 out of 6 now, or
We both 7 tournaments.
so she's made the cut 5 out of 7 times now. She's doing really well. She is on Storm staff. Ball change.
I think she made 5 out of 6 cuts plus
Yeah.
the queens.
Yeah.
So I think-
with the 7th cut, no, she missed 2.
She must too. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
no, she did. Yeah.
Oh, I thought
That's
she.
why she's like, I don't know what to do with myself.
Oh, yeah. It's a pretty good start for being on tour, like a rookie year.
Lots of pressure.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. No, it's really good. All right, John is up on lane 2 with the orange pin in the head pin spot. Brooklyn? Push? Oh, I couldn't tell from this. It looked like it might go Brooklyn.
Good try out there.
All right, well, we tried again.
Oh, you won the match. So.
Sorry, John, but I don't think you could have threw that one anywhere.
I know.
All right, well, John gave us a good run.
Yeah. So because he won the game, at least we have more chances because they bowl at least one more game. So
Yes.
we have more chances for that orange pin.
That is true. That is true. So Kara finished with a 193. With the spare, John can shoot 223. Plus his pins, he would shoot 231. I will say I think I got pretty lucky earlier striking with the orange pins for sure. He said I don't need that.
No, that's not at all.
All right, so they're gonna flip over here to 3 and 4. They're gonna get 2 shots on each lane for some practice, and then they'll jump into that. Oh, I thought you were going I appreciate that. Thank you. I can't believe I threw 2 of them on red square. All right, we're going to switch over the cameras 3 and 4 while they take their practice shots. So, has anyone in the chat bowled on red square before?
So like when you switch the cameras, I don't know why, but it takes a little while to clear it out. So like this will be clear in 30 seconds.
Okay.
So like if it dies, just switch it to this one. Then I'll swap.
Okay.
Ron, you want to be here?
Yeah, actually, when I bowled today, it was really my first time bowling on red square. I've never, that's not really a pattern that I have bowled a tournament on. So that was truly my first time bowling on that pattern and trying to actually for score. I think I've bowled on it like once just for practice. I didn't keep score or anything a long time ago. So I was honestly didn't know where to play. I just tried some stuff. But it's definitely not the easiest pattern by any means. Definitely got to be able to make your spares on that pattern and hope that you don't split. For sure. All right, so Kara's going to start the lane or the game off on lane 3.
And if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. We got 2 great PWBA players in the booth with us tonight. So if you have any questions, whether it be about the tour, their respective brands, bowling balls, don't hesitate to ask. They're happy to answer questions because they have a lot of experience on tour and in bowling in general. So feel free to ask them questions if you have them.
And for those of you who might not know Birgit or I, Birgit is on Brunswick staff, and I'm on Rotogrip staff. So Kara is throwing, I believe, the Zen.
No.
Or was she?
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So Kara was throwing the Zen, and then her spare ball. And it looks like John. Yeah, he's throwing phase 2. I know Kara's Zen is pin up. And John's phase 2 is pin up. So I had the most success earlier when you guys watched. I was throwing a 2-inch pin axiom. Oh yeah. In this building, red square is definitely a little harder because it is hard to get the 10 pin out and stuff. So even throwing a good shot doesn't necessarily mean you're going to carry in this building.
I unfortunately have not tried that ball. No, I'm sorry. I can't tell you anything about it.
Oh yeah. Obviously, I don't know if you guys can tell, Birgit is from Germany, so some releases were only in the U.S. I think that was just a U.S. release. So she is from Germany, so being there, she probably didn't. If that came out when we were on tour, and I think that actually came out when the women's tour wasn't, because that's an older ball. So she probably would never even had the opportunity to throw that one.
So the V2, the Vortex V2, that ball was released in the mid 2000s originally, but when Ebonite was in Hopkinsville,
Do we have a head pin?
yes, we have a head pin.
Let's cut you off.
Yeah. Yeah. So we do have a head pin on lane number 4, an orange head pin. So if Kara does strike here, we'll be 30% off CtD bowling for 5 minutes. Oh, another 9-pin. Another 9-pin. But the V2 was one of the last balls made in Hopkinsville before they shut down. So Ron loves that ball.
A lot of people like it.
We have a lot of those in the back there.
So for me, the Storm Insight James, to answer your question, I drilled that when I was still bowling league. So for me, the Insight is a little strong for me in league, but I did drill one pin down that I have thrown on tour. I definitely like it more for tour patterns with higher volume, or medium patterns. So for me on a house shot, no, but I do like that as a bigger ball in my arsenal. And then Larry, do you recommend using one company? Obviously being on staff, it is easier to use one company, and being on tour, I was a free agent for 2 years on tour. And to be fair, it just became harder to pick what ball I wanted to throw because all the brands make good balls that fit into their arsenal. So when you have different, you have kind of balls that overlap. So I think using one company or sticking with brands that work for you is easier when building an arsenal for sure. So even like with the Rotogrip acquiring 900 Global and Storm, and I could use everything, I still tend to stay in my brand, and I throw a lot of Rotogrip. And I know Birgit could probably tell you a little bit with her having more brands with Brunswick.
Yeah, so for a long time we had Brunswick, Deviate, and Radical, but as the women, we weren't allowed to bowl with Radical on tour. So I stuck to Deviate and Brunswick. I was happy with that. Of course, having all those EBI brands, I mean, they have some great balls. So having all these brands now, it gives you a lot more opportunities. It's nice to have them. And I mean, I can't say you have to stick to one company. I mean, if you have
it makes it easier when choosing arsenal.
even like if you want to mix Storm and Brunswick, for example, if you have the chance, go for it.
Yeah.
I mean,
kind of like we were talking about it earlier, I think when you're choosing an arsenal, it's definitely great to have like a pro shop owner who knows your game and understands what your goals are, because if you're just buying bowling balls to buy like the newest one, that definitely, you can have so much stuff overlap. So it's not really just about like the one company, but it does help to have someone who knows to help you pick bowling balls. So then it's easy to mix the Brunswick with the Rotogrip, because we all have balls that overlap between companies as far as like how they roll. Well, I'll let Birgit answer that question first.
so Ira, she's asking for a favorite ball for heavy oil. to name the recent balls, it would be like an Obsession or Obsession Tour, or even the Zenith. I like those. Pretty much everything asymmetrical, stronger balls that work for me. So I don't know on the Storm side that would be at least.
Yeah, for me, I really do like the proton physics. That it's great for heavy oil, and for me as well with my slower ball speed, I like the X1 from Rotogrip, and then the Reality from 900 Global. That was a great addition. Now being able to throw 900 because that ball is really good with heavier oil. Now again, I do have slower ball speed, so someone with higher ball speed would probably stick more to the Proton versus the Reality or the X1.
So Sydney, thank you for the congratulations. Then it's also if the patterns on the tour allow multiple angles to attack. I guess it really depends on the week and the pattern we bowl on. Oh, hang on. We need a score correction on here. So I think Dustin's going to do that. Yeah, let's see what the score is at, and we will get back to your questions after that.
All right, so John still does have 8 pins, so pretty even match right now just because of John's handicap. So that's where I said earlier, like the handicap does kind of make a difference, especially going on this harder pattern. So Kara's going to have to if John does stay on his spares, she's going to have to throw a strike or two to try to pick up to that extra pins. So while they work on this, I'll let Birgit finish her.
What were we talking about? Multiple angles. Yeah, so it really depends on the pattern we bowl on. The past weeks we had definitely open up to our angles. You would agree on that, I guess.
Yeah.
Had to get it pretty steep to the right, usually. A lot of hook. So we have one more week before the swing is over. So we all kind of feel that it's going to be a weekend where we have to keep the angles in front of us, or a little more shot, or that's how you guys say it.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, and then last week we bowled on a pattern that was short, but there's people playing everywhere. Like, I've honestly hadn't seen a tour stop where, let me get back to this other angle really quick. I hadn't seen a pattern in a while where literally you could look across the lanes and you had one girl playing 2, you had a girl playing 7, and then you had someone swinging the lane. So, I mean, we don't get patterns like that a lot, but we have had patterns like that where people can attack them from multiple angles. And then we see tournaments like, which tour stop was that, where like all the higher rev rate players were on this show. Where is that? Was that Farmingdale?
That was also this week, kind of.
Yeah, so there's obviously some times where certain angles are just better with reverie and stuff. There are weeks like that. But yeah, I mean, we always show up on tour knowing. Oh, okay.
Travis, you can go to ctdbowling.com. We have a link on the website that says regional staff sign up. Click on that link, and then you can fill out an application to join staff. And is there anything else? Have we ever thought about using 52-foot Badger? I mean, it's definitely an option. That pattern is definitely not easy, especially in a building like this where you have 2 different lane services. But yeah, it's definitely been a thought before. Red square is the reason we use red square a lot is just because it definitely levels the playing field. Like you can bowl on this pattern 20 times and it's not going to be easy.
I would say I think red square is probably the hardest pattern I've bowled on. I mean, it's up there.
But going back to Travis's comment, you can go to the website, hit regional staff, sign up, and fill out the application. John is actually a member of CtD staff, so he has the opportunity to come here and bowl special challenge matches like this. We don't offer these matches to anybody else other than members of our staff, so you can head on over there and fill out an application. I think there's another question for you ladies.
Oh!
That would have been a real forward work.
Larry, is your question directed like when we're on the lanes or, when we're off lanes? For those of you who don't know Kara, that's her hardest spare. So we're very proud that she just made that spare. Kara would rather shoot the 710 probably than the 3.6 on tour. Yeah, that's like shooting. That's like her picking up the 710. Yeah, so it's still a really close match because John does get 8 pins. Now, Justin, I have to ask this. Since we're bowling at Red Square, do we think 8 pins is still fair when we're converting to a sports shot bowling against the pros?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's still fair. I mean, the thing is, Red Square is going to be hard for everyone.
But I'm saying, as far as for him, is 8 pins still fair converting to?
Yeah, it is.
No, I just asked.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, the thing with Red Square is it's super hard. So like when people come and challenge Ron or myself, we do keep the handicap consistent. We want a lot of consistent things to be happening with the handicap and bowling and all of that. So to keep it consistent, we do keep the handicap the same for both matches on 1 and 2 and 3 and 4.
Yeah, I mean, just like earlier, I did shoot 230 my first game, but I shot 160 my first game. It's really easy to shoot 160 on this. I left some weird spares that it's hard to, when you're shooting on a flat pattern like this, it's definitely, even for the pros, to like figure out where to stand for a spare. When it's flat like that, you don't know where your ball's going to hook.
Yeah.
So for sure.
There's some questions.
Robert, to answer your question, obviously with COVID and everything, the whole industry changed. We are owned by the PWBA is owned by USBC, which is obviously a lot different than like the PBA, who's like a corporate company. USBC is nonprofit. So, with COVID, I'm sure it's hard to come back, and TV is not cheap. So, I mean, I think I can speak for Birgit and myself. We're just lucky to bowl a week in, week out, especially not having bowling for a year. So I don't think it really matters for us. We're still bowling for the same prize funds. So, just being able to compete and get out here. And I know for us, like just doing things like this and seeing our friends.
To take out just that.
So yeah, that just all came down to TV contracts and some money with COVID. I'm sure. I mean, we don't know all the details, but I mean, the bowl TV shows are just as good. I mean, when it comes to TV quality, they still do the shows like it's a TV show. So you still get that. And now we can allow spectators now. So we've had spectators on the show as if it was a normal show.
Yeah, there's nothing to add to that. I mean, I'm just happy that we are able to bowl.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Birgit can tell you they're still like in lockdown.
No, we're actually
Well, a little.
out of it.
I mean, like just recently,
But,
they've been in lockdown a lot longer than us. So, them coming over here, she hadn't really even gotten to bowl before you could come over. I know you have a center.
Yeah.
Yeah, Birgit's in.
No tournament.
Yeah, Birgit's in a different situation than some because she does have access to a center, but people over there that didn't even get to practice before they came over.
Yeah, most of the centers have been closed. I mean, we just opened after 7 months. To go to Timmy, what are some of your practice techniques for week prior to tour stops? If we have right now, we bowl 8 weeks in a row, so you don't really practice, you don't really work on your game a lot. Like, I just try to stay sharp, work on little things. Maybe if you had a week where your spare shooting was off, you probably practice on that. Sometimes you're just happy to get a little break after a long weekend. And then you just kind of I would try to work on my routine just to be sharp at the foul line, maybe release depending on kind of what you struggle at. Go from week to week, how you feel pretty much.
Yeah, I was gonna say, for me, like especially when you're a week out, you're not working on anything super crazy. For me, my feet and my tempo is always a problem, so that'd probably just be like my pick one thing that is your like weakest probably, and just stick to that the week before, because you're not gonna change anything in a week. You can definitely make it better, but you're not gonna change anything. So. And then a week before, you're obviously prepping your arsenal and stuff. That's really your main focus, probably your last week before a tour stop, especially going out for 8 weeks. And we don't know the patterns, so we kind of have to just guess and figure out what we want to bring. So Benjamin, so in the brands of Brunswick.
Would be like so to go, just asking for a mid to light oil ball. So the bonus, both of them, the one that's John throwing, for example, that's the older one. We have a bonus pearl as well. Those are radical balls. If you want to go into the like Brunswick, that would be like the melees maybe. There's coming out a new one, but the blood red is also in that rangefinder. And then, to be honest, I don't know that much yet about the track and Columbia, because I'm only throwing the hammer and Brunswick a lot so far. I haven't tried much of the other ones. So, but those would be, I don't know if Dustin might know something. I don't know how much you,
What was the question?
about a mid and light oil for like EBI side. Like, I know about the Brunswick, but the EBI.
Yeah, I would agree that the melee is a good option. Yeah, I mean they just announced a lot of new balls today, so I would keep an eye on those just to see if there's anything that people are talking about in 3 or 4 months. But right now, if you're looking for something right now, bonus melee, jab blood red. And then it really depends on how strong you want to get. Being speed dominant, you need stuff that's going to pick up. So the Obsession Tour is a good option. It just depends on how strong you want to go.
So I think with that strike, Kara wrapped up game 3.
Yep.
She 9-pinned again.
Yeah, so the match is 2-1. So they will bowl one more game on red square. And this match will either be finished or we will go back to 1 and 2 for game 5, depending on what happens in the next game. So John will start game 4 on the left lane. And if you're just tuning in, we do have a cool opportunity going on for viewers of the challenge match. If the orange pin ends up in the head pin spot for the first ball and the player strikes, there will be a 30% off opportunity on ctdbowling.com for 5 minutes and only 5 minutes. All right, so here's a good question. How do you increase ball speed? Do I just need to speed up all my steps or start slow, then speed up?
So increasing your ball speed, there's actually a couple different things you can do. Some people do it by their foot speed. Some people do it by, the level of the ball. And also that would depend on how tall you are. If you're trying to increase your ball speed, like what I do is I try to think of like a faster tempo in my head. So you don't but try to still keep the same cadence. I don't know if that makes sense, but I still want my foot speed to be slower in the beginning and still get quicker at the end to still create that flat spot that I want. But I try to, in general, create the whole entire thing just at a different tempo, but keep the same cadence. I don't know if you were.
Yeah, I usually try to, if I have to, I usually have to slow down my ball speed. But I would probably like make a little longer approach that helps me. And if I have to throw it slower, I go up on the approach. But I think it's different for everyone, like you said, like how tall they are or whatever works for them kind of, and how much you want to increase it. So.
Yeah. So what I was saying too is so you can do it by just your ball placement. So a lot of people would think that if you would hold the ball higher to get a more ball speed, but you would actually hold it lower because you don't want your swing to be as long. So if you are taller, you just want to hold a little bit lower because then you'll cause your backswing to be a little bit quicker, which will also help your ball speed. And again, every person does it differently. So it's really just what would work better for you. And like Birgit said, I've also done that where it depends. I could stand on the lane differently too. So there's a couple different options. All right, Sydney, to answer your question, so for me personally, when I'm going into a block, you're obviously going to look at, when you're thinking about surface adjustments, you're going to see what the pattern is, obviously. And if you don't know the pattern, then for me, I would take my favorite balls and I just wouldn't change the surfaces. Because you never know how they're going to play. So if you don't know the pattern, you kind of just have to pick your favorite balls and start there. And then, if you can go up or down and then change the surface. But me personally, I never just change surfaces unless, I know on tour, unless we bowl the first block, then I'll change them before I bowl because I already have an idea. But I never go into a block and change surfaces right away because you never know how everything's going to actually react.
I think it's not really about changing it, maybe just freshen it up.
Yeah.
So if you see that your ball is not doing the right thing, you can freshen it up a little because obviously you don't have time to go to a ball spinner, put it there, wait and do it. So that's, I've done it before, but I always try to make sure that I have a shot with it before we start.
Yeah.
To get that first shot out of the way kind of thing. So, but I do it. If I have to, you got to do it. I don't mind doing that in general. Sure. Yeah.
I always make sure I at least clean my bowling balls out too. For me, that does make a big difference. I think if you make sure your surfaces are always cleaned and fresh to get the oil off the pores.
Someone just said, make your spares.
I have a question.
Okay.
I asked this to EJ and Simon, so I'll ask it to you two. What are your favorite 2 or 3 balls from your respective brands, whether it be past or present?
Think about it. Right now.
Oh, I know, there's some-
See, like the recent ones you're throwing on tour right now. What are those three?
So here's the thing. I am a person, I really like balls. I'm not a new ball syndrome person. So if you look at my arsenal right now, I have a lot of like gems. So for me, I was just talking about this earlier, but I love the emerald, the IQ emerald. I know it just got discontinued, but like truly that ball, I like it on house shot, long patterns I've thrown on. I like that ball because I can throw it on a lot of things.
Well, for me right now, it's the Hammer Web MB. That was money for me. Last week, the weeks before, made 2 TV shows with it, so I definitely have to name that ball. And the Vapor Zone, I love that ball. And actually, like the Danger Zone too. We were just talking about that earlier too. Yeah, that I usually like balls that no people like. Like, I mean, I'm a fan of balls that people are like, how can you like that ball? And it rolls good for me. So yeah.
Did you already name? I didn't. Was that
I named
two?
like, yeah, but
I'm trying to think.
Venus Pearl is pretty good too. I like that ball a lot.
Out of the new line, if I had to pick one right now, like I said, I have a lot of like older balls that I really, really like. Oh my God. I'm not going to lie. Right now, the Storm Rotogriffin 900, like there's so many good balls. I really do have a hard time going to my bag, which I know it's like a good problem to have, but I go to my bag and I'm like, what ball am I going to throw? Because I have a lot that I like. But if I had to pick a stronger ball right now, I really love the Reality. And then what else is out there? I mean, if I had to pick an older ball, like I love the Idol. I love the Idol. That's another ball I can throw. And then the Zen. I mean, there really is so many.
Your favorite balls?
What are my favorite balls?
Yes.
So right now, speaking of new bowling balls, Obsession Tour is a ball I'm throwing a lot. The UC2 is a ball I'm throwing a lot. And then also I stash away Paradox balls, the original blue one. And that is a ball that I've had in my arsenal for 6 years at this point. And whenever they come up, I buy them. Somebody's on my YouTube and said Blue Paradox.
Oh, what?
See, I'm telling you, that ball is absolute money. And if you have one, slide in my DMs and let me know.
That's literally me with the emerald. Anytime I see someone with emerald, I'm like, what do you want?
Yeah.
Like I literally have so many of them just because I'm like, you never know. Oh.
Man, I'm freaking out at this point. I don't know who that was. Definitely wasn't me.
I don't think it's wrong.
Ain't Ron. You don't have
Jacob is saying he has a NIB.
Is it at 15? Don't tell me that. Don't tell me where you live because you might not find it.
Good bounce back here. Strike.
All right, so Carrot is going into the 5th frame. Oh, good shot. Good shot. That orange pin really has been hiding more in their matches.
Yeah.
I just realized that. Ours came up a decent amount. The OG High Road. So for me, that ball obviously is really good and it works for a lot of people. I don't know what it is about that core for me. I think it's because my slower ball speed, but that core just doesn't really roll well for me. I just tend to, like I said, I kind of just stick to more of like the Emerald, the Zen. I don't typically throw the high road line at all, any of the high roads actually. So. Don't drill it. Just give it to me. No, for real though. That's a ball I throw so much. I've drilled like 4 in the last probably before, if COVID didn't exist, like that year when I was bowling, I drilled like 4. And I keep the old ones too because they still roll well. It's just how they go through the pins when I need to get left. But I keep the older ones for a little bit more friction. All right, so I don't think John liked that one off his hand. Jonathan asked, what do you use as your benchmark ball?
So for me, that would be like a Hero or Hero Solid, or right now, that WebMB I was talking about. That would be the ones right now that I usually try to start with, and they worked really well this season. I think they have been in play every weekend, at least one of them. So, either way.
My answer would probably be different between house shot and tour. Because on tour, like I typically, like I said, my Emerald's like probably my benchmark ball if I'm pulling on a house shot. But when I'm on tour, I'm throwing like, really right now it's been like the Reality. I've been starting with like those balls to give me an idea, because we've been bowling at a little bit more volume actually this year, so bigger balls have been working. So that's the Reality, and like X1 have been kind of the balls that I start with to gauge where I want to go up and down from there. All right, so John is on the board with a spare in the 7th frame. He's on the board. Okay, so Kara, I didn't even realize Kara has 2 opens in a row right now. I'll let her throw the shot. Okay, another shot, not liked off the hand.
Just making sure.
Future reference,
All right.
I was seeing if what you did, if I could do that too.
So they're actually talking strategy together over here. They're trying to figure out the lane together.
I don't think I've ever talked strategy with somebody I'm bowling against.
So yeah, John does have the 8 pins. So right now, still pretty close. Depends on what Kara does right here. All right, so it's still a tight match.
think
This animation wants to stay up there for a while.
Huh?
I was waiting for the animation to go away so I could show the score.
I think the best part about bowling on this pattern is you might not be having the greatest game, but if you catch a double, you can get yourself right back in the match. And that's exactly the position that John is in right now.
Yeah.
So if he can catch a double here, could change a lot of things.
Yeah, that's why I said the handicap's a little bit harder when you bowl on something like this, just because, you know, as the scratch bowler, you got to catch a strike or so to catch that 8 pins up. Because even as the scratch bowler, it is harder to still catch a double because, like we said in this building, you could throw a good and still not strike. So when I first started on Red Square here, again, I this is like my first time really bowling on it. I did try playing straighter. It was very over under. I do have slower ball speed. So someone with higher ball speed would probably be better. Guys would probably use more urethane with higher ball speed and rev rate. But for me, I did find better success playing deeper and just keeping my angles kind of straight and keeping the ball, giving the head pin away a little bit, but not too much. Birger, where'd you play when you threw some shots on this pair?
I didn't.
You
I
did-
didn't
oh.
throw any shots on that pair.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Yeah, so Birger, I didn't know if she did or not. She knew, she was deciding not to, or whether she was going to bowl or not.
But I would probably attack it a little. Well, I'm usually not a straight bowler, so I would probably open up my angles a little bit, but would try to keep it in front of me still. But just from a little deeper, I would say.
Yeah,
I guess.
You would have probably been close to where I was earlier. Because I was trying to keep my ball speed a little bit higher. All right, so John really needs to. Oh, that was a really good shot. Really good shot. So that is gonna help John get back in this match a little bit.
I mean, balance is a lot. A lot of things can go into being balanced at the line. Timing, how fast you get to the line. But if you are not balanced at the line, I would attribute that to being a timing issue. So taking a look at some video, understanding a 4-step or 5-step approach, however you might get to the line, is important. So if you can figure out what the issue is with the timing, you should be able to figure out exactly what you need to do in terms of whether it be push away or just footwork in general, getting to the line. So I would highly recommend investing in like a tripod or taking a friend to the bowling center to take some video of you. That's going to help you out quite a bit, so you can figure out exactly what the problem is. Because there are quite a few videos. What's it called? Dean Champ's video.
Dean Champ bowling.
Yeah, type in Dean Champ bowling. There are lots of slowed down videos in his videos.
So Kara actually needs this to shut him out. I was just looking at him.
So Kara needs this.
Shut him out.
To put some pressure. Yeah, so Kara needed that to put some pressure on John here. But there are lots of slowed down videos of professionals in his videos. So I would really, really watch those. Understand exactly what they do in terms of push away in their arm swing to help you out. So Kara can max out for 186, depending on what happens here. All of them gone. So John needs all of them.
I'm not gonna lie, this is the last pattern I'd want to have to throw all 3 strikes.
She said this is the last time I want to throw all 3 strikes. But you did earlier, and you helped the people get 30% off.
I did.
Not in a pressure
I was
situation.
already lined up a little. You know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about when you're not lined up.
Yeah.
Not a bad shot. Not a bad shot.
Oh, it
I thought he actually
just missed the head pin to the right. And that
I
will...
didn't see any orange pin on this.
No, we didn't.
Wow.
I think that lame man back there is pulling the orange pins.
I didn't even see them in the racks that much.
Oh, yeah, they're back there.
I know they're back there.
Yeah, I think we had 3 opportunities because Kara had 1 and John had 2. Spare. Good spare.
Ooh. Like 85% off for that spare? No, I'm just kidding.
Not quite.
That's what Nate said earlier. 99% off. Makes a lot of sense.
So John will actually be back here tomorrow. He will be facing Ron in a match at 9 a.m. Central Time. And then after that match, John will get a lesson here at the EC as a part of his drawing winnings. He won that drawing because he's a member of CtD Staff. You can join CtD Staff for free on ctdbowling.com. Just click on the regional staff link, and you can sign up for free.
Yeah.
We're going to go up there and have a little chat.
He's picking up.
John. We good? We look good? All right. Well, Kara, congrats
Thank you.
on being the winner of the match. I want to get both of your thoughts on the patterns on 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. I noticed, especially on, I think it was lane 1, a little bit of a hook spot developed. So I want to see what your thoughts are on that, as well as 3 and 4.
Yeah, we started off. I mean, I only bowled 250 in my first game, but I kept having to switch back and forth between the balls. And I literally had a look with the first ball. I used the UC2, and then it just went away. I had to switch my Zen, and it was just very touchy on lane 1. You just, I think it was just because, in practice earlier, I just kept playing the same spot, but it was very touchy on lane 1. Lane 2 wasn't as bad, but lane 1 was a lot different for me.
I concur. No, lane 1, yeah, same thing. I got a little fooled at first because I hit the dry spot, so I moved left, and then I might have pitched it out a board or 2, but it never came back. So that's why I switched to nuclear cell, figuring I'd get it down a little bit and move right, try and keep it a little bit more in front of me. Lane 2 was okay as long as I stayed firm with the shot.
All right. Any thoughts on 3 and 4?
I think we both didn't really like 4. I struck every time on this lane the second game, except for the 4-9. But just that lane was just so touchy too. So it was just so weird. So I felt like the 2 outside ones were just super touchy. This lane was pretty consistent, I think, the whole time for me. But lane 4, it was just all over the place for me.
Yeah, it was actually kind of hard for me. I didn't throw enough good shots to really get a good feel, but I was definitely more confident on lane 3. That might have been just psychologically. But, I think the shot was there for both of us as long as we made good shots. That was pretty much it. Yeah.
We did it in practice. We came over here both in practice and just what is this?
We threw 8
yeah,
strikes.
we threw 8 strikes together.
Wow.
That's awesome. So, John, you'll be back here tomorrow. You will be bowling Ron for another challenge match, and then you will be getting a lesson to help you become a better bowler. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. 9 a.m. tomorrow, we'll have another challenge match, so hope to see you all there, and have a great night.